We've done all the hard work, and now it's time to build out our beautiful comp. We're going to do this based on our wireframes. If you've taken the time to build out your wireframes correctly, the process of building the comp should be easier and in many cases much faster. Before we get into the wireframe, I did want to show you what the finalized file looks like. So here I have comps for my small, medium, and large screen. And as you can see, for the most part, I'm using the same graphical elements, but I've organized them a little bit differently because I have more or less real estate available. In my layer panel, I have a layer for guides. I like to keep my guides on their own layer so that I can easily turn them on and off when necessary. I have the layer that contains all of the artwork that I'm using in my project. And then I have a notes layer. The notes layer is a place where I can specify special interactive notes to either myself or the developer. So I'll zoom in on this section right here. Right here, I have a note that is saying that on the trip states, I want the screen to alternate with a quick crossfade between the trip details and the image. I have the image on the other state layer, so if I turn this on, you can see what the other state is going to look like. So I'm including this in my comp so that we can export these images and graphics as necessary, and the developer will be able to tie in the interactivity so that this will switch out. I have another note over here that just talks about some interactivity that I want to add to the testimonial section on the small screen. Now I'm going to switch into the wireframe view so that we can learn how we can convert the wireframes into the fully built out comps. I'm going to go into my starting file, which is simply just the wireframe file as we left it in the wireframe exercise. As you can see, I'm using symbols to represent the different images that I want to be using within my file. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to swap those symbols out with the actual graphics. You'll be amazed at how fast this goes. I'll start off with the logo. I'm going to select the logo and I want to edit this. So I'm going to double click on it, which is going to throw me into the symbol editing mode. I'll also be using my library panel. So here I have the Dive logo. I'm going to drag this to my stage and click to insert it. If necessary, I'll resize the Dive logo, and let's just zoom in so we can see this a little bit better. You'll notice that the quality of the logo is not great, and remember, that's a result of us working in the pixel preview. As I mentioned earlier in the course, I like to work in the pixel preview because it gives me a more accurate representation of how this is going to look on a screen. Now the logo is sized in the correct way. I want to get rid of the box that I originally used for my symbol, so I'll select that and delete it. And now I'm ready to exit this area of editing. I'm going to click the arrow here to exit symbol editing mode, and you'll see that you're going to get a warning. It lets you know that a symbol definition cannot contain a linked image. Select OK to edit the symbol definition, or select Cancel to discard edits. I'll click OK, and what I'm going to need to do is go to the Link panel. As you can see in the Link panel, we have a linked image. It's coming in from the cloud-based library. I need to embed this. So I'm going to select it, go to the Wing menu, and choose Embed Images. As soon as I do that, I'm able to exit the symbol editing mode. And now, if I zoom out, you'll see that the Dive logo is going to appear in all three comps, even though I only had to insert it one time. That's the beauty of using the symbols. You can quickly make changes and integrate images into your comps, and as long as you've set up the symbols in the correct way, and that basically means creating one symbol for each instance of an image that you want to use, you'll have no problem in swapping these items out and creating the graphics in the way that you need. Now, if I come to my library, I have a couple of elements that are not symbols, like my trip article right here. I'm going to bring this out and place it on the stage. This contains the callout information for my website. These are important details where I talk about what I want the user to know when they come to the website. Now that I have this component formatted, you can see it's taking up a little bit more visual height than I had originally intended. I'll need to adjust my comp, and we'll do that in just a second. I'm going to cut this from the screen. I'm going to delete this portion of my wireframe, and then I'll simply select everything within the wireframe and bring it down, and then I'm going to paste that element back in and position it where I want it to be. Now, because I didn't create a symbol instance for this image, it's only updating the large section of my website. I'll need to go ahead and add this one by one to the medium and small screens. It is possible that you could have made this into a symbol as well, but I didn't do that in the original wireframe, so this is what I'm going to get. If you do this, you may need to change some aspects of the symbol instant. If you want to do that, you may need to embed the image so that you can then break it apart from its link to the library and edit it uniquely. In my library, I also saved the swatch colors that I want to be using in my comp. So I can select the elements that are part of my comp and apply the colors very quickly. This again allows me the flexibility of being able to integrate different colors and images into my comp with just the click of a mouse. As you can see, the process is pretty quick if you've taken time to plan ahead so that you'll know what colors and what images are going to go where. Once you've completed the process, you should end up with something that looks like this. Remember that the wireframes are simply a starting point, and you might need to adjust them as you add actual content. But if you take the time to set up the wireframes correctly, a lot of the work is going to be much easier since you only have to add an image one time and have it appear multiple times within your document.